I'm Nolan Karras, chairman of the Karras Company, a registered investment advisor. Well, Roy was more rural then. We had a lot of territory that we could roam through and play. Cowboys and Indians, dug foxholes, did all kinds of things with our neighbors and friends, but it was more of a rural community back then. Large gardens and lots of places to roam and to enjoy being a boy. I had some great teachers. Mrs. Harris was my favorite teacher ever, and Mrs. Smart. So I had some wonderful teachers and some great memories and made some childhood friends that remain with me today. So I've had a long-term relationship with some people that I got to know and to love at Riverdale Elementary. High school was a wonderful experience, had great experiences with friends, with teachers, with the things I learned. I had the privilege of being elected to be the student body president, and so I had a fabulous year and really a steam building year for me. It was a turning point in my life in a lot of ways, as I realized I could do some things that I didn't realize I could do. After I graduated, I spent 6 months in the U.S. Army and served a Latter-day Saint mission to Ontario, Canada, and started my college experience after I finished both of those, the Army and the mission. Got a scholarship at Weber State College in those days, and entered in January of 1964 into college at Weber State. 1970 was a recession, and the CPA firms thought they could take any MBA and make him a CPA. It isn't what I intended to do, but I had a job offer from an Arthur Andersen, one of the big eight at the time, one of the big international CPA firms. Moved to Denver and was trained to become a CPA, and it was another one of those life-changing experiences that launched a career for me that's been a blessing to me all my life, to be able to have the background of being a certified public accountant. Well, we were fairly typical Latter-day Saint kids, or at least fairly typical Utah kids that had our family while we were in school. So we had 2 children before I graduated from college from the University of Utah. And so Linda was a great support to me, and I was working full-time, sometimes 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, going to school, trying to raise a family. And so Linda has been the bulwark behind me, the enabler of everything I've ever done, and contributed to everything I've done, and ought to be in this photo and ought to be honored today because of her solid support for me. I was a member of the Roy City Planning Commission, offered that opportunity by a good friend who was on the city council, and that really started me into the, if you call it, the political world. And then a good friend of mine persuaded me to run for the legislature. That was early. I was in my mid-30s when I got elected to the legislature, and got out as Speaker of the House when I was like 45, 46 years old. And that introduced me to a whole nother world. I was appointed by the governor to be on the Olympic Committee, the organizing committee for the 2002 Winter Games. I actually was representing the governor's vote on the Olympic Committee, and I served for 7 years with Fraser Bullock and Mitt Romney and so forth as chair of the Finance Committee. From there, I went to the Board of Regents, where I served for 12 years, and 4 years of that was chairman of the Board of Regents. And then Ann Milner asked me to go on to the Weber State Board of Trustees, so I served there for 8 years, and again served as chairman on the Board of Trustees at Weber State University. Utah's got a diverse economy. We've got technology, we've got agriculture, we've got mining, we've got all kinds of things that keep us as a robust state. But we also have a volunteer spirit. And during the Olympics, the volunteer spirit was demonstrated over and over again. Utah has the highest percent of donations per capita of any state in the nation. My father was a great example to me. He was a founder of the volunteer fire department in Roy and served for 38 years as an active fireman. So we grew up in a culture of not only helping with the fire department, but helping with the community. So I attribute a lot of what I've learned in my life from my wonderful parents who taught us to serve and to care for other people at a very young age. But I still like serving, and I enjoy the interaction with people, but I also like to make a difference.